Hi, welcome to 6-in-1 Movement Breaks. We're going to be doing a variation on lunges today, and we're going to be using a sliding disc. You can use one of these if you have one. If you don't happen to own one, paper plates work well on carpet, and if you're on wood floors, a towel or a washcloth is a great tool to use. So we're going to start with our disc underneath of our foot. You want the middle of your foot on there so that it slides well. And we're going to work on moving in different directions. A lot of times we've talked about moving front to back, moving right and left, and then rotating right and rotating left. But we've talked about having this beautiful sphere of function around us, so we really have 360 degrees around us. So to give us a nice visual of that, I love to look at a clock. So if 12 o'clock is in front of me, that means that 6 o'clock is behind me, and all of the other directions would be going from there. So we're going to play with going around the clock with our foot. So I'm going to put it under my foot, and as I do that, I'm going to slide the foot forward just a little bit and then come on back. So that's an initial range. I can take it a little bit further and go to a mid-range and come on back, or I can go even a little bit further and take it to a little more of an end range and come on back. I want you to kind of find where those points are for you, and everyone's is going to be a little bit different. So I just went to 12 o'clock. Now as we go around the clock, for me, I'm looking at my clock is going to go this way. As you're standing there, yours is going to go whichever direction you're going to go. So at 12 o'clock, we're going to go beginning range, mid-range, end range. Now we'll move to 1 o'clock. Initial range, mid-range, end range. Trying to come back. You should feel your core activating. You should feel that. Now we'll go to 2 o'clock. So you'll just find what feels comfortable for you, making sure that you don't get out too far so you can always come back to home. 3 o'clock, we go a little bit. Our body's kind of like a scissor. We're going wide, and our weight shifts and then drags back together. 4 o'clock, and now I'm aiming a little bit back, going a little bit further, and then end range. Now I can go to 5 o'clock. And then that 6 o'clock will be straight behind. A little bit. For this first trip around, end range, we're going to switch the feet here and finish the other half of the clock with the other leg. So we'll now go to 6, mid-range, end range. Then we'll go to 7, little, mid, end. To 8 o'clock, again, trying to shift your weight into it and not just driving the leg out, but bring your weight with it. And then 9 o'clock, little bit, little more, and end. 10 o'clock, small, mid, always listening to your body, end. 11, little, mid, and then back to 12. So we just went around the clock, shifting our weight, being able to go and get that stretch. You want to be able to feel that through the core and the legs. And for some people, that's where you're going to want to end, and you're just going to want to build on that. But if we want to up it a little bit more and break that midline of the body and be crossing the body, we're now going to take the leg around the full clock from 12 to 12. I want you to remember where your favorite, most comfortable distance was, and kind of hang around there as you learn this, and then you can work on building that out. Because it's not better to do more at first. More is just more. Sometimes we want to learn the motion, let our body neurologically figure out what we're doing, then you can add to it. We don't want to jump over our threshold and take us into a position where we're not going to be successful. So we're going to start again with the foot, and we're going to start at 12 o'clock, and you're going to go to a self-selected distance that feels comfortable for you. We're going to slide out and then come back. And let's do 2 of each. So we'll slide out and come back. Now we'll go to 1 o'clock. You'll slide out, 2 o'clock. And you don't have to be exact, but you're kind of looking at that ballpark. 3 o'clock is going to be along that side-to-side motion. 4 o'clock, we're getting a little bit of that back diagonal. 5, 6. Now when we go to 7 o'clock, we're going to cross behind us into that 7 and shifting that weight. You're going to feel a lot more into this hip. 8, we're going to kind of be stretching a little bit more. 9 o'clock, it's very difficult, and you can choose whether you want to try and get there from the backside, which is going to create a lot of motion in this hip, or you can take it in front of you to the 9 o'clock. 10 o'clock, and you can see my upper body moves with me as I'm doing this. 11 o'clock, so that I can have my balance and get that stretch, and then back to 12. We'll repeat that with the other foot going forward. So now we'll do the clock backwards. 2 of each, feeling that weight shift and pulling back. This is great for the pelvic floor. It helps to be that base of that core to strengthen everything. We can play with some different foot positions as we're working in this. Right now, I'm keeping my foot parallel to the front, but I can also tweak that foot a little bit and maybe toe in or toe out so I get a little different feel through the hips. Now we're going to cross that body again. Feel that stretch. Listen to your body as you slide and come back and fall over. And get that. And it's okay to feel unstable. We are challenging the balance. We're working on the balance, really trying to get that stretch to that 9 o'clock. So many people think they have to look perfect at everything they do. We all look a little bit different. We'll try crossing in the front now. What we're doing is trying to build our strength and our range of motion. We're individual. We don't have to look like everybody else. It just needs to be similar. And back to 12. This is a great motion to help build that strength, to get that balance, that weight shift, to engage all the muscles of the lower body. A little trick that you might want to do is, if this is something that's challenging for you, is maybe find a good door frame that you can fit into so you can hang on to the door frame as you do the motions, and you can work the sliding around that, or have a chair or something to balance. I like to pre-position my hands sometimes, so if I'm in a door frame, I can put both of my hands over to one side, or I can just stand here with my hands over to one side, and we'll take it around the clock one time, one slide each direction. Pre-position, so I'm rotating my upper body, getting that turn, and the hips are moving with that. By needing balance, I have something I'm hanging on to. Then I can switch it up, bring my hands to the other side if I need to, hold on to a counter, a chair, or that door frame. Oops, I forgot my second. If this volume is too much for you, you can cut it down a little bit, where you're doing more just the front, back, and side kind of motions. And sliding through. It's working on tempo. It's letting us get someplace and get back. There's a lot of neurological action going on here, a lot of balance going on. We're getting some great hip motion. We're getting some great core workout here, and it's fun. It's something different that we're not always doing. So again, if you don't have a disc, grab a paper plate or a washcloth and see how you can move on. Hang on if you need to, but build that better strength with 6 and 1 movement breaks.